Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Space Engineers No Jetpack Survival. I am Cy Prime, and yeah, well, we're back on Pertam. It's it's good to be back here actually, back to home where all of our main facilities and everything are. We've just had a nice long rest over here. We just had that just to, just for old time's sake. We don't need to use the bathroom. We don't have food and water facilities like we did last time here because like the new update, well, one of the newer updates, completely broke our ability to use the food and water mod. So there were suggestions for an alternative, but to be honest, at this point in the game where we've got pretty much nearly unlimited resources, yeah, we don't really have a problem with food and water. The main trouble at the moment is rare resource acquisition and actually using, like, well, actually I don't want to go that way, do I? Actually constructing things without a jetpack. So, you know, the challenge still continues. We've still got Permadeath turned on and all of that. So as a result, anyway, the Sci Guys restaurant, it still has its tables and chairs, but as you can see here, it's missing all of its cool stuff. So I think we're going to actually have to just remove a few bits here and possibly link that back up where it belongs. So I'm just going to stick a little T-junction in there for the crack of it, just for the sake. So let's find my junctions. 3. Just a normal T will do. Yeah, you'll do nicely. There we go. So now everything is sort of piped in together. We know it's definitely going to work. We've still got some enemies around. One there. One there. And up on our asteroid base, we still have our sort of weird bomb printer thing, which we're hoping to take out the enemy with. The chances of it working, it's me, probably slim, and then we'll default back to a simpler method of taking them out. But for the time being, you know, the hope is that we might actually be able to do some real damage with that thing. Right, so let's just remind ourselves of the facilities that we have here beyond the little tour we took. So major cargo and everything is behind this wall with a couple of access ports. We've got our, by the looks of it, assembler and refinery facilities down here with a bit more upstairs. There's more refinery up there. So upstairs, and I do like the way if I remember rightly, I use this this industrial refinery to act as the first part of the stairs. So that's kind of cool. We've got more assemblers up here, so that's keeping things going. Now here's our massive power screen, a bit like the one we had on the other one. Back on Mars, you see here how power's been up, down, up, down, up, down. It's been pretty stable, but when we returned, there's a bit of a spike there. You can see it there. So that's when we docked in our ship and needed some sort of a recharge. So, and we've been using the facilities. Everything's kind of woken up. Weather's clear. What have we got for stuffs right now? We're kind of low on most of the components right now. Steel plates about 10,000. We're going to need a lot more of those before we start building our large ship, so we might have to actually up a lot of this. We don't actually have a materials board up here. I don't. Oh, we do. We've got one right over here. Okay. I'm forgetting where everything is. It's been so long since we've actually been here. Let's just turn all the gumph off so I can read this thing. We don't need a lights on. We've got plenty of light in this one. We didn't put lights in the Mars base. Okay, never mind. Platinum 4K, uranium 2.6K, plenty to keep our reactors going. Silver 7.2K, okay, plenty for now. Cobalt 32K, I think that should last a good while, that cobalt. We are going to need to get more, and cobalt is somewhere over there near an enemy. There's a lot more enemies than what we could see on the GPS here. We're actually just close to 2 of them, and the rest of them are outside of detection range right now. Magnesium 1K, so we've got enough to keep some ammo in stock and in all of our turrets. That's not too bad. Given the size of this base, it's more important that we're actually able to take out any sort of passing meteor storms because there's a lot more to hit over here. Okay, gold. I think gold may be a bit of a weak point. So at some point we're probably going to have to build something that can jump. Like, oh, I don't know if we can. We have a jump ship up on the asteroid base. We might possibly need to use that to go back and get some gold at some point, unless we can build something else. We'll see. So okay, we've got 1.1 million iron. I think we might need about another million, possibly. We're planning a really big build. Looks like it's getting a bit misty out there. Gravel, we've got 874 stone. Not a lot. Why isn't that not being refined though? Are we out? We've not out of space. Are our refineries turned off? Okay, let's have a look. Why is my mouse so slow? There we are. Refinery on, refinery off. Keep them both on. Do we have a refinery that's not got full modules on it? We've got one downstairs, I think, that might not have all the modules on it. This one. We could probably put some modules on this, I think. So I should possibly have some actually on my bar here. Maybe. Maybe not. I guess I took them off. Okay. Yield. Just whack a couple of yield modules. I can't do all of them, obviously, because of the current scenario. Materials. Right, that should be everything I need for that. We do have to keep our eyes open for any kind of flying stuff incoming, because we have bases nearby, so anything that does fly towards us is more likely to actually be some sort of combat ship coming in to try and spank us. Come on. More materials needed. I hope we've got plenty of superconductors. Right. Okay. So that should improve our refining overall, and that probably be why we had that one turned off. Our outdoor drill, is this going to turn into a thunderstorm, or is it just a... See, on Pertam, storms get pretty particularly brutal. It's only a sandstorm. You only have to watch the first like 3 or 4 episodes of this to get an idea of how actually terrible our storms are here. Visor's still shut, so we're just going to take a little trip to the roof. Oh yeah, we had to glass under all of our solar panels here, so we had a solar panelled but also airtight roof. And this was a pain in the neck as well, this whole corner. Okay. I just wanted to have a peek down there, see... Can't really see so well from here. We might have to go back down to where our ship is. Oh, we had a... What is that? We were building a platform out there. Okay. Yeah, it's good to familiarise ourselves with what we were doing before we left. So, right now, I mean, last time we left it with the idea that we're going to start working on a large ship, and I certainly will. But before we actually get to doing a large ship, we need to decide where we're going to build it and what sort of shape it's going to be, so that, you know, it kind of fits in with where we are suitably. As in, if I'm going to build a vertically oriented ship, I can build it down in the hole. If I'm not going to build a vertically oriented ship, then we're going to need a large flat space that's well defended. Going this way, aren't we? A lot of doors in this base and we don't have any automatics turned on, so for now it's fine. Right, we're going to floor 1. I do love this lift. More so that we wrote the script for it. This is not a sort of packaged script off the workshop. We actually made our own script and put it on the workshop ourselves. With a little help from ChatGPT, which at the time was still kind of in its infancy. Infancy. There we go. Right, so we're back down here. We can get a better idea of the space we've got. So there's all of this which I was going to fill in. Get some lights on. That's down to there. Have we maxed out all of the pistons? We've still got one there. So we could actually go down another whole piston. We probably should. Space-wise, how large is this hole? Let's get a feel for the block size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and a half blocks long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it should really be 20 wide, with the exception of this bit in the middle. This way it's like 20 blocks wide. That could be enough to build a ship in. It could be kind of a bit awkward though. I mean, we could turn this whole thing into an elevator eventually. Just to be able to drop ourselves off from the bottom there up to here. And then that would free up most of the space to actually start building in. First things first though, we need to get this last, this one last piston going, and then we can sort of mine out the rest of that stone. I say the rest of that stone, the whole planet's made of stone. We're never going to mine all of it out, but you know what I mean. The rest of the range that we can reach with that system. So let's have a sit down, and we're going to go drill. That's the big LD drills. What's LD drills? Little drill drills. Is it called a little drill? LD. 10 drills. Little drill pistons. Little drill. Drills, right, okay. So little drill pistons are pistons, there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which ones? That's at 0. 4.2 meters. 4.5 meters. 10, 10. These two haven't done their full run yet. So, where's our on-off button for this? I can't remember where I put stuff. So, the automation timer block 1 and 2. I didn't name things very well either. Set up actions. Time block 2 start. Increase maximum distance. That's that one. Okay, and this one is the other piston, and start the first one again. Alright. Okay, I feel like I need to go and find the button for the whole thing. If I put one down. It wasn't any of them. It might be upstairs. I remember the first time I tried to get the script working, it nearly launched me outside. We still haven't put a roof on this thing yet, I don't think. Oh no, there's glass there. Okay, it's just hard to see. Right, No button panels around here. I can't believe I'm having to sort of figure out where things are in my own base. It could be upstairs. It is possible that it's up here. Because this is kind of like the control center. That's just turrets. That's turret control. Okay, did I put any button panels down anywhere? Programmable blocks, IIM, LCDs. Don't know what you are. Anything upstairs up here? Don't think so. Okay, it's not upstairs. It's probably outside. It's our little cargo pod. Slightly wonky, but it's doing the job. That's our gravel ejection spot. That's the way down to where we can reach that when it's fully brought back to the top. Still don't see a button for this thing. I'm guessing I didn't put one in. Okay, we didn't put a button in. Eee, that's silly. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to rectify it right away. Okay, so the main things are we need to... what's this one doing? Cargo filled. Okay, so that's for the cargo filled thing. Which cargo containers is it looking for? Large cargo. Okay. Right, so that's working off cargo filled. I don't remember turning the thing off when I started, so what's this supposed to do? Little drill. Oh, we've got a whole thing for little drill here. So I can actually turn little drill on. Okay, there's a whole group for it. Little drill on. Okay, let's just double check that this is all looking dickety-boo and everything turned on properly. Yes. Seems to be. So, we've got 2 whole pistons still yet to go halfway down. So that's like another 10 meters-ish. Probably closer to 11. And then 1 more piston that's not set up in the system yet. And we're getting light now. So, this is going to drill down a bit further, and then we have to see how much more iron we get from all of that. If it's not close to another million, so we need about 2 million iron ideally. From previous experience, I've worked out that if you get about 2 million iron in your system, you've got enough to build something really big. Really big, like decent size. So we'll see how far off we are. If we're still quite far off, we can just go down there. Might have to take a ship or something to get down there with, but we can take the ship down there with some materials. We can detach the drills, put another couple of pistons on, reattach the drills, as we have done once before already. So that's that. 20 blocks along. That's probably large enough to build something, but is it a bit small to be like me? I don't know. It feels like, I don't know, maybe I could build something vertical. It might be a bit too SpaceX-y though. I'm just wondering if that is too small. I mean, whatever I build, we're going to have to do it on foot. We're not going to have the luxury of jetpack to get around and do it. We're going to have to build it somewhere close enough to resources so that we're not struggling constantly to construct the thing. I also have to decide, am I going to just wireframe this thing and not weld it up? And then what we do is we keep that as a blueprint and we use a printer to print the whole thing later. That's an option, although that's risky because if we're missing some components, we're a bit screwed. So I think that one's out of the question. We just talked ourselves out of that option already. Okay, so I'm not going to touch the enemies until I'm pretty sure I need to. We've got our like asteroid base thing up there that we just need to put some thrusters on and then we're good to go with it. But for now, we should actually start trying to get something done. Okay. 20 blocks. How far is 20 blocks? That's like... it's not very far. 20 times... It's about 2.5 meters per block. It's only 50 meters. It's a bit of a small ship for a large grid. So... I think we're not building down there. We'll find something else for this space. I mean, it doesn't even have to be filled with anything. I mean, we drove this space out because we need resources. I'm seeing weird flashy stuff. Okay, it's probably the sun. Right, we need to select a space to build on. This whole spot here is on a weird uphill. It's not ideal, really, for construction. I left that wide open. That's so dangerous. Ideally, I want to cover that up. Even if I don't weld it all up, like, I just need to cover this hole up because it is so dangerous. I mean, that hole goes all the way to the center of the planet. 29.97 kilometers all the way down. I think one day, just for the crack of it, we'll probably jump down it. Today's not the day though, because I've not died yet. I know we can survive a death now that we've got plenty of respawn points around. It's not like permadeath matters too much right now, but I'm really trying hard not to die during this whole playthrough if I can. So anyway, yeah. That space there is too uphill. It's a bit out of the question, really. This whole area kind of goes downhill. Oh, I thought that was a big hole then. Oh, we have our Verne Observatory there. I wonder what that was supposed to do. Oh, this was positioned so that when we look through this camera, so if I was to, like, what was it, Shift K, Verne Observatory, camera view, we can actually see through the planet because we placed the camera too close to the floor, so we could see the entire path of Verne as it was going, of Jules, sorry, as it was going down. Jules is gone, long gone. It's probably still down there if it's not been cleaned up, but battery's dead long ago. Right, this is kind of a bit downhillish. We've got no ice lakes on Pertam, so that would be in the ideal spot to actually build on, but no, we don't have an ice lake. So I don't want to build on the green bit. It's our garden. I like our garden. That would be dangerous to run off that. I don't want to build over there, it's too far away from our resources. So it's actually a choice of build on the big hill. So we have access to resources there. And there. Or build over here-ish. Or around here. Past the green. Now I think here. This isn't a bad spot. Okay. First thing I need to do before I do any of this, let's see. This slot all attaches to the ground, so I need to sort of run. That's the runway for the car. We still need to be able to get the. Still need to be able to get our little rover out. Okay, we'll come off here, I think. Right. So what I need to do is lay out sort of like a ground plane that's totally flat and is large enough for me to build this ship on. It's going to be big. I mean, there's one of me. It does not have to be huge. I just want it to be huge. So I could put a GPS point on there so I can measure distances. We might have to take the Verne Observatory down. Oh, graphics device driver has crashed. No, it hasn't. This is kind of typical when a game doesn't have a clue what's actually going on, so it just blames the graphics driver. Right, we'll be back shortly. Okay, as I was saying before we got rudely interrupted by space engineers crashing on us, I was going to put a little GPS point over here so we got an idea of how much space we've actually got. So, just going to do /GPS ship. Yeah, well, I'm just going to call it P1. We're going to remove it later anyway. Didn't want to add that to the build planner. Right, so now we've got an idea how long this is going to be, and then we can also get an idea how wide as well. So at the moment we are 69.5 meters long. I think we probably want to go a little bit longer. I want this platform to be probably at least 100 meters long, just to give us plenty of room. Couple more blocks. Yeah, one more. That'll do. That'll do. Right. Now, if we went this way, we're going to go over we're going to go over a tree. We've got some little trees here already, which are kind of annoying. So I'm actually going to come out a little bit further. One more. Just give us some room. And we're going to actually have to go a bit higher so we can get over all these trees and things. So I think at each end, in a minute, I need to put a little slope. Just so we can get up when we need to. Right. Okay, so this sort of slopey space should help us get just over our obstacle tree things and give us plenty of room width-wise to deal with this slope. Right, so we're 1, 2, 3 blocks high. We have to come all the way back over here. We might have to go a bit higher actually so we can get our little rover under it actually. If we start from about here where we measured, so that's 1. I'm just going to extend this over slightly just so it stays attached properly. I'm thinking out loud a lot here, so forgive the waffle. I know some of you actually do prefer when I sort of verbalise my thoughts. But yeah, I think that's... Yeah, 3 blocks high is actually plenty for this little rover to get under, because this rover's only just over 1 block tall, so should not become a problem for it if we go across that way. I need to sort of reconsider. Need to swap out that last block for something a bit more slopey. There we go. And we need a proper ramp on here, just so it doesn't become a pain in the neck. Right, okay, so that's where the actual thing starts. We just got to bring this all the way over. So we're going to build this on a raised platform. It's going to be a very large platform. It's going to take a lot of materials as well. I'm also considering that we're going to have to weld this thing up, at least parts of it, because I kind of don't want to have like a really weak base underneath in case like we try to attempt to launch or something that goes wrong. Right, let's work out how wide we want this thing to be. Make sure there's nothing dangerous behind me. We're not so tall that we're going to get in the way of these turrets yet. But when we start putting a ship on there, we might need to start considering putting some sort of defense at the end, or possibly on the ship itself. I don't know. We're probably going to have to think about running some material ports up to the top here as well, so we don't have to keep leaving the platform to create our ship. So, right, I think the perspective on this is very weird. I think that might be almost wide enough. I think we'll just go a little bit further so that we come a bit closer to the ground at this end. So we've got a slightly safer exit to the ground. Right, I'm going to put this one on the bottom if I can. Stand a bit further over this way. Should be easy. Right. And then we're going to put a little ramp off the other end. Right. Okay, and then we're going to build this one across this way. Okay, we might have a little bit of tree stickage at the top somewhere. Okay, well that kind of makes certain that this thing's anchored into the ground. I'm not sure how much... we might have gone too far. We've gone possibly 1 block too far. Right. We kind of did this in 2 Idiots on a Mission for building the... well, what became the Condor. Just to give us something to work on. But we had jetpacks then as well, so it was only really necessary to sort of make sure that the ship had full access to power while we were building it. But also giving us the means to walk around. So, okay, that is... well, this is going to stick through it, but it's fine. The ship's going to have to be on legs anyway at some point. Right. So we're going to have to start filling some of this in. I think primarily we're going to want to bisect it in both directions. So we need to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 22 would be 11, so it would be the 12th block over, I think. 9, 10, 11, middle. Right where the tree is. This is not going to be a hugely long episode. We are basically approaching the Easter weekend. And I can't in good conscience, even though I'd love to, I can't in good conscience spend the entire Easter extended weekend playing Space Engineers. I also have a motorcycle now. I think I mentioned that last time, that I'd actually purchased one. I hadn't told anybody what it was yet. Well, it's arrived. I've got it. Been out on it a few days, and I just saw lightning. This is going to be far too dangerous to be out now, because Pertam's lightning storms are brutal. Oh no, we got underground for a reason actually. This is partly why I built an underground bit. Because it's dangerous up there. I could do with a weather screen up here actually. Somewhere over here, so when I'm sat down, you can see what the weather forecast is supposed to be. Let's go with number 7 actually. Let's put it like there. Probably do with a couple of little screens up here actually, so... Right, so this one's going to be damage. Damage, LCD. Number 2. Custom data. We're going to send, no, echo. Not going to send to this text. Damage report. Echo. Damage. That should in a moment. Yeah, there we are. Oh, it's okay, it's a fair bit of damage there. Probably accumulated over time. Passenger seat. That might be... That may well actually be inside the passenger seat. It's not a couch. I don't... there might be a seat upstairs in the other building. It could be the seats inside the bus. The hopper. Possibly. What screen are we going to put up here? What's relevant to when we're sort of in the bunker? Ingot. I only want to see ingots. Nickel. Ah, there's the rest of it. That's good. This one needs to be shrunk down a little bit. It's too big. Yeah, that's a bit better. Now we need to change the colours on all of this. So, background black. Yeah, that's fine. Text colours though. Okay. Still showing electric storm. I'm still hearing the occasional rumble of thunders. Have a little look out here actually. Right. Don't want to step out from underneath shelter though. It kind of reminds me of the first time we got to this site. We were trying to get the resources to build the initial thing to actually dock my little pod to. And we spent half the time hiding in a hole from the lightning. I do like the red. Red looks good. Weather's clear again. That's great. So we can go back up to the surface. I know it's cowardly running away from a storm, but we've not died yet. And this is how. We don't get ourselves into any stupid situations. We deal with things the safe way. For now. Once we're all powerful, we can go all hell for leather and just deal with it. Right. We need some more steel plate, for sure. Right, so what were we doing? So we just connected that to there and started thickening this line up. We're probably not actually even going to get started on the ship itself today. Maybe we will. At very least, I want to plan sort of where everything's going to start. Right, so we got our little three-way thing here, so it's a good centre line to start with the ship. We can sort of build that out as we go, but I sort of do want to yeah, we're gonna have to count these actually, and I want to put like a center line across that as well. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's an interesting color for the unknown signal. It needs to be walkable, but it also needs to be kind of not overly confusing, because I found that if you have too much wireframe around, it can get really difficult to see what you're doing. It's going to be bad enough that a lot of the ship's going to be wireframe. I think the second we've got enough of the ship actually done to be sure that what we've done is staying, we're going to weld the whole thing up before we move on to the next part of the ship. So we're not going to be mucking around too much with massive wireframe amounts, because it's just a nightmare. Right, let's fill in all these spaces and then we will come back to you. This is the last couple of rows going in now. There's going to be a lot of blocks on top from where I've missed. I have to go up there and just grind those because they're just loose. Then we're going to have to put some piping in so that we've got a spot that we can actually like get cargo up to the top, and a docking port somewhere. I'm also going to have to sort of make sure we've got more than just two. There's one of them. More than just two ways up, because, well, on each side, because that's left really open. These four corners are the only things holding this thing up. So let's right, this is the triple. So let's put a ramp on here that connects those. Okay, so that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole spots where there's a good anchor point. Right, let's get rid of these randoms across the top. I just landed here when I missed. Yeah, we did it a lot around here. Okay, there should be no space, no holes, no spaces or anything. Should be good. Right, where are we going to bring a cargo line from? I mean, any of these would do, but ideally we want to bring it in from ground level. Pipe it sort of just through the underneath and somewhere along the middle line, which is about here. That's the middle line there. So where's a good spot to bring a pipe in and then across from? That's the ore detector. Cargo's there. Oh, sorry, that's silly. Well, we don't need... Oh, I forgot to put those back in after we crashed. Aha. That was almost dangerous. Right, okay. We don't need any of this anymore. We're done building little tiny grids for now. Right, so that maybe opens up an opportunity to pipe something through here, possibly. Or bring it in. Well, if I bring it in from there, then I have to cross a window. It looks really awful, that. And we've got a bit of damage at the top there. I need to do some work with repairing it. Oh god, no. I could have sworn I filled it in. Crap. Let's just make sure that we got something underneath us here, because I'm gonna have to yeah, that was kind of a bit scary, and not altogether very good for things to happen. I'm a bit stuck. can't just jump out. Okay, we're going to have to sort of do a bit of that to get out, and then we're going to have to just fill this space back in again. We're going to have to be a bit more thorough about how we block this off, because that can happen once, it can happen again. Why can't I put a block in there? Oh, there's already a block in there. Okay. I think that's good enough. I'm not going to fall in again. Right, okay. Nearly ended up at the centre of the planet there. That would have been a very long end to the episode, watching me fall down there. Okay. Where are we going to bring a cargo line through? Maybe we do it from around here somewhere. It's got to be something cargo-ish around here somewhere. I mean, there is that. Oh, there's these. These feed in through here. And they feed the downstairs bit. I need energy, so I have to go down and get some energy. Oh, I don't have to go too far, actually. Just sit in one of our little garden viewing chairs. Yeah, I think we bring it off that line. It is literally the line feeding the whole of the downstairs of the base. But it should serve for what we want. Because it connects the interior to... Yeah, okay. Because it connects that, which is the sort of output from this part of the base, into that one, which is the sort of, you know, this whole section which goes down into the ground and forms the underside of the base, which also forms the place that we parked our Falcon. So, gotta be careful to make sure we don't break this, but essentially I can just come off this. So if we take these out, I think we should weld those up. Right. This is going to have to be replaced with some sort of a junction. C3. Where are we going with this now? It only has to be a T, so armored T. That's a T. Which is the right way around though. That way, I think. Was that support, and that support, right. Good. This is our platform. So now I need a ton of steel plate to weld up as much of this as I can, because again, at least the center lines needs to be welded. Half like dirt. So from there, across. Let's just get 3 of these done. Let's find the center line now. So it would be the point where, yeah, here we are, light armor block. Half, light, half. And one thing does come to mind, actually. I mentioned before, bought the bike, and I didn't tell you what it was. Again. So yeah, I actually did get the street triple. Right. Center line's welded. It's a place to start at least. I think perhaps what we do is we just weld across here, and then we sort of expand it over time, bit by bit. The idea is by the time we built the ship, we should have also built this base. Yeah, this base is turning into quite a hefty base. And sooner or later we're going to have to do all this again on the Earth-like planet. But we'll have to make the Earthlight planets better. Somehow. That's going to be a challenge in itself. Just like, how do we make the Earthlight, you know, our final base better than this one?
Energy low.
So we have to start gathering ideas for it. I think it definitely has to have an elevator. Probably have to be a bit of a monster one. I think it should have a monorail as well, like an underground monorail, so it can have a shipyard off on an ice lake somewhere. Have the base slightly further away, maybe like a few kilometers away from the shipyard. That way we can come in, land, park our base, park our ship, grab a train, and get to our main sort of base area. The train would have to be sort of automated. One, two, three. Bingo. So, for example, this eventually will be the docking spot. So we'll have to anchor our ship near to it. Not so near that we can't build the docking mechanism, but near to it. That way we know that this space on the bottom of the ship is going to be free to do this cleanly. Right. Okay, so that's there. Doesn't do anything yet because we've not built the rest down there. Right. Now that cargo container there actually should work. So we're just gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not too bad, that. Looks like a proper little industrial bit. Could probably do with something there, but it's not mega urgent. We're connected at 1, 2, 3 places, and the ground in the middle. So this is our main platform. With our little bit of cargo access here. So I think in the middle here is where we're going to actually sort of temporary anchor this to the ship, where, well, whatever's going to be the ship. We have to decide on heights and stuff, and we also need to really think through how we're going to get up to actually do the construction stuff, because the ship when it's done is going to be pretty tall. Given that we're actually on no jetpack, we're going to need to scaffold everything at every stage, unless we actually constructed a little constructor ship to do this. But I feel like that's going to be more trouble than it's actually worth for now, because keeping materials in that constructor ship's a bit of a faff. You can't just go, oh, like pop dump and off you go, you know. Right, I need to decide on a block that's going to be temporary, that I can use for like the cutting off bit. So I think I'm going to go with kind of a pink colour I'd never put on one of my ships myself. And we're just going to build ourselves like a little tall tower here. Now even that, like getting the second block on there is a pain in the neck, because, you know, we have to do stuff like this. Right, now the length of let's actually start planning out what needs to go in this space, what needs to work here. So a connector is one whole block high. Okay, we know that much. But here, unless we sink a connector into the ground, which we probably could do, we could actually remove that cargo container and put an embedded connector in. Let's just make sure there's nothing in the cargo container first. Okay, that's a little better. I can still walk on it, I can get my materials from it, and it serves as the actual point that the ship's going to eventually connect to. Right. Not a bad start. Right. So that takes away the need to have the risen connector So otherwise we would have had this whole additional block up for that. But now we only have to have space for one block down. I'm not going to stick it on top. I'm just going to kind of put it next to it for a minute. Okay. The good thing about having this big base is I can just sort of chuck scaffolding on top when I want. So on top of there, it'll have to be on. Let's see. Do we make it so that it can just land and have that like flush with the ground every time? It could potentially get damaged. It should really be on a piston, I think. So let's work out the piston height. The piston should be, I'm thinking the piston should actually retract from inside the ship. So the only real distance we really need to worry about is the height of a landing gear. I am not going to do a speed weed and want to do something silly like have like these sorts of actually. I don't know if they're as strong as the actual foot-driven landing gear, but these are pretty cool. Do we have landing gear on this bar? No, not yet. G. Landing gear. I personally think these are cool. They're purpose built. Either way, size is the same. It's exactly 2 blocks tall. So we need to leave 2 blocks before. So this is the minimum. Take those off in a minute. So that is the minimum height between the bottom of the ship and its base. That's the absolute minimum. We've officially started building our ship. It's not that impressive yet, but we have started. Right, we need a good base colour. I think we go with the plastic armour for the minute. I'm very much into my white colours. We need a palette or something. Right, I'm going to take this light grey. I'm going to just make it really white. White's a good colour to actually build with. We can add actual colour later. So from here, we obviously need the skin. So let's just make sure I can get up there. So from here, we're going to need to skin the ship. So that's the first actual block. I keep removing them, but it's because they're no longer useful now that that's on there. So we need to work out this landing docking facility before we do too much else, because if it can't dock in the right place, it's about as useful as a chocolate teapot. So I'm gonna just build like a bay around this. I do believe, see, we know that things are able to actually move past things. Like we can have a piston run literally next to, through a whole of one space. But given that we've got loads of room and my energy's low, given that we've got a ton of room, there's no reason to cut it so close. So if I do that, I'm going to have to run back for energy in a minute, but... And then we do... not quite that. I think we go with like halves that. Yeah. So we go... I'm going to have to find corner pieces, but... kind of like that. That sort of closes it up a little bit. Don't think this is the right block for a corner piece for this. I think I need another block type. Right. Okay. Let's get our energy. We'll come back and try and find the corner pieces for them. So I'm starting a bit unorthodox. Normally I'd start from like the battery pack, but that usually would end up making either the battery pack too low down in the ship to be well protected and practical, or it would make the bottom of the ship too low, and then you're finding you're having to make room underneath to build things like landing gear and stuff like that. I kind of want to avoid that sort of thing happening. So I'm starting with how's it going to land, how's it going to dock, and we'll work our way out and up from there. There'll be plenty of time later for charging batteries and all of that. So, right, we have to find a block that fits in that space there. So I have no idea because I'm not that good at this bit. Doing the whole block thing. Oh, that looks almost right, but it's not. Not quite you. Although, actually, that's a better idea than what I was actually trying to do. Trying to slope on two directions, it kind of looks a bit fussy. Right. I do overcomplicate things sometimes. That actually does the job perfectly. So that's the space for where the docking port's going to come through. On the inside, obviously, we can kind of shield that off and make it so it's not like too user accessible. There could be a door or something to it. But yeah, it's a good place to start. So now we're just going to get some blocks down, kind of around that, just to flesh this line out a little bit. Because this is a shape that's going to need to be reasonably consistent and take up just a little bit more of this area, because otherwise we've got no means of actually getting to it from inside. Right, I think that's far enough out that way. Maybe one more. We can always chop into some of this and change the shape in a bit. Right. Okay. Now I know some of this is going to stay. So as I said before, if we're happy with something, we're going to weld it up. Just takes away the pain later on, having to do it later. Right. Okay, and as I also said, do a bit of the ground around it just to, again, just make this a progressive build. Right, I'm not going to be cutting any path for building this ship out, so it can be a follow along if you want to, or you can just wait till I've finished and I've tested it and fixed all the problems that we find and then release it on the workshop, and then you can have it in its actually working form. Okay, right, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes and it's quite late now, so given that I have to resume ordinary real life, we're going to call it here, and we'll pick this up next week. So probably for the next maybe 10 or 15 episodes at least, we're going to be constructing this ship, possibly longer because we're doing it solo and it's going to be epic. Yeah, so that's where we're going to leave this one. Let me at least get back to our relaxation area. I think it's on floor 2. Yes. Right, so have a wonderful weekend and Easter and all of that stuff and whatever you do during that time, and we will catch you next time. Bye for now.
Meteor storm inbound.
Right, we'll pick that up when we, no, actually. Abandoning. I need to at least know that this meteor storm's not a problem. For this area in particular. Okay, all's well. Right. Bye.